What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another F1 24 My Team Career Mode video. Today, Season 2, I think this is Round 3, yes it is, and it's Suzuka, the Japanese Grand Prix. Now, I'll tell you right now, this is one of the craziest races we've ever had in the series so far. So, we're kicking it off in qualifying. You're probably thinking, why am I on inters when everybody else is on softs? The answer is, it was raining earlier in qualifying, so we know it's all going to come down to this final run. It didn't let me choose the dry compound tyres, so we're basically doing a run that is slightly damp, slightly dry, and we're really going to try and make the most out of it. There's no DRS enabled just yet, but a pretty good 10th up after the first couple of corners. A little bit of a back-end wobble as the DRS has been enabled. I've got the MFD open in the bottom right. It's another wiggle through the S's of this first sector here in Suzuka. And yeah, you can just see my tyres overheating ever so slightly on the surface. Down in the bottom right in the MFD. But so far, 2 seconds found. I've managed to pull it all together just for this final run so far, but obviously everybody else will be gaining all around us because they might have had DRS on the pit straight to start their lap. They might have had DRS on the run up to the line. We'll have it as well, but then they've also got the soft compound tires, which won't be overheating like my inters. But we're following Joe pretty well and actually kind of gaining on him slightly as we make our way towards sector 3 here. We're just speeding up the hill. Now, because it was wet, I have 50-50 wings, I think, at the moment. So you can see Joe is gaining time on us, but a purple sector 2 to kind of put a smile on our face, really, after all the effort we've gone through. And under braking, we gained so much time on the Kick Sauber driver. Just ahead of us, 4 seconds gained on the Delta, which is absolutely unreal to take us out of Q1 and up to P5. If you haven't subscribed, please think about doing so. If you haven't seen any of the other episodes, go ahead, check out playlists on the channel. There might even be a little card somewhere later in the video if you want a quick link as you're watching. So safely through to Q2. This is my second run. I went out a little bit early, so I did like an extra warm-up lap, which wasn't really a warm-up. I basically just tried to save fuel so we had enough for this run, and so far we're not matching even our previous lap in Q2 that put us into P13 where we are right now. But obviously there must have been a mistake somewhere in that S section as I go a little bit deep on the exit of that sort of twisty section. We've somehow found 2.5 tenths. We tip it in to the corner before the hairpin, which I'm not sure if I like the hairpin. I think I like it when I get it right. I don't like it when I get it wrong. It is very much a 50-50 chance there, but 4.5 tenths picked up through the first sort of half a lap here around this circuit in Suzuka. I've been trying to get my lines right. It's very tricky. It's one of those circuits where if you get your line right earlier in the lap or earlier in that section of corners, you really do struggle to kind of get back on the line to maximize your time and your speed through the rest of the section. But half a second almost. Do we find anything in this last chicane? Yes, we do. 2.5, 3 tenths. Make that 4? Do I call 5? Yes, I do. Over a second gained at the end of Q2. But as you can tell, it was not enough. So we'll find out where we started off. Fernando Alonso grabbed pole position away from Lando Norris, who starts alongside him on the front row. Only half a tenth in it for pole position when it came down to the end of Q3. Now, speaking of Q3, P3 is Max Verstappen, followed by Lance Stroll, then Tsunoda, Ricciardo, Ocon, Magnussen, Dennis Hauger, Alexander Albon, Nico Hülkenberg, Zhou Guanyu, Pierre Gasly, our teammate, making a good showing there, followed by Sargent, ourselves in P15, Oscar Piastri, Perez, Hamilton, Leclerc and Sainz, both Ferraris, shock knockout in Q1, and then Russell and Pourchaire round out the grid today.
Okay, back of the grid, it's not great, but let's make the most of it. Good luck.
Not quite back of the grid, but I understand where he's coming from. We should have performed better, but I don't know how that massive improvement. Obviously, we didn't get everything perfectly right, but we ended up in P16. I'm kind of baffled a little bit by that because our pace previously was very good. We're going to go medium hard here as all the lights are on. And now they're out as we go racing in Suzuka. A very, very quick hold. Everybody around us, well, the vast majority are on the soft tyre, so there's a lot of good, fast cars and drivers behind us. We have a little bit of a game stutter, and there's already a massive collision and a red flag
No overtaking, please. We'll see you in the pit lane.
in the first corner.
You need to give that place back.
There's a little bit of
That was an illegal
applause
overtake.
just from pure shock. I thought about trying to edit it out, but it was a bit crazy. Here are some of the replays. We're on board with the Haas. Kevin Magnussen up here, as you can see, 3 wide does not mix into the first corner. I think that was the Aston Martin of Lance Stroll and one of the Visa Cash App RB cars coming together. So we'll see it from the off-board angle here. You can see on the right-hand side of your screen there's the sort of wider of the Visa Cash App RB cars, and it is an Aston Martin and a Visa Cash App that just get tyres tangled together, which caused the red flag. And that was, yeah, crazy. I was not expecting to see that. And obviously it was great that the FIA threw the red flag, but now we have the hard tyres to try and take us to the end. A few others in a similar position, but we actually get a pretty good launch, but a lot of wheel spin up against Zhou, who is just next to us on our left, but obviously Piastri, Leclerc. There's a massive 3 wide moment again as we have to take avoiding action, and we somehow get a 10-second penalty from that and 3 illegal overtakes. So we've got to let a few cars back through, and there's a handful of cars, 2 or 3 cars maybe more, that have 10-second penalties, as now we'll see the offboard of George Russell, I believe, in the Mercedes as he gets a good getaway. You can see our wheel spin and the smoke that came from that. You can see we're actually 3 wide potentially there, and even behind is the Ferrari and the McLaren this time tangle into turn 1, causing yet another flag to be flown on the circuit. I believe it was just a safety car this time. You can just see Perez, I believe, getting a run there on the McLaren, and yeah, just unlucky. Ferrari had nowhere to go and suffered the consequences. But the safety car's going to be coming in. A couple cars behind us, fast cars too, ready to pounce with those medium tyres. We have cold hards. Lap 5, by the way, of 19, because the red flag took a couple of laps out of the race, and the safety car did as well. Now, we still have high wings. There's no way of getting around it. That will help us in Sector 1 and a little bit in Sector 2, but Sector 3 we are going to eat dust from every other F1 car on the grid, regardless of what make, model, driver combination it is. You can already see that we're just struggling with our line again as we go massively deep, and that gives Piastri the space to swoop through on the inside, which is really not ideal for us, but hey, he was probably going to get us either way on those mediums. Piastri, one of the other drivers, with the 10-second time penalty. I'm not sure if he's planning on boxing again to serve that penalty, but now we've got signs similar to, well, not similar to the last episode, but we were giving Tsunoda a good sniff on his rear end in the previous videos. There's a lockup in front for either the Kick Sauber or the Visa Cash App RB. Up ahead as we got a massive wheel spin, and we snuck through with Piastri. Piastri sort of opened the door and walked through it, and we sort of snuck through before it closed, which is very opportunistic of us during that kind of final chicane. But now you can see we just don't have the pace relative to that McLaren on the mediums right now. It's only been 3 laps since the restart, so their tyres are still going to be really fresh compared to ours, and you can see the dragginess of our car at the minute as Sainz and Perez are going past us, but we're going to hold it side by side through 130R. Coming up to the braking zone of the last chicane, we're going to try and squeeze Perez a little bit. He does back out in the end, and thankfully we live to fight another day, but we are struggling with battery as well, and potentially down this straight. Just checking my mirrors a little bit to make sure that Perez doesn't think about a risky send and cause another safety car here in the early half of this, in the first half of this race. Now we're just going to try and stick with Sainz. What I'm doing here, I've not cut specifically. I'm trying to learn the line of the Ferrari in front and see where I'm going wrong, what can I do better, and I'm starting to pick it up, and we actually held on to him better than I was expecting, but obviously Perez is right up our gearbox, and we go a little bit wide there, but not really done as we dip a tyre on the gravel. That gives Perez hit the run that he was looking for. We're going to try and hold it to the inside, and again, Perez just not aggressive enough, I don't think, in that Red Bull. Max Verstappen is right up there. He's P4 at the minute, I think, looking at the mini-map in the bottom left, but maybe P5, but most likely P4. So there's a lot of fast drivers really towards the back end of this field at the moment. I'm not really sure why. I'm assuming it was the rain and the havoc that Q1 kind of unraveled for us, as again Perez is looking to the inside of 130R. What's going to happen this time? He's too far gone for us to hold this side by side. We think about it, but we just don't want our tyres to be ripped off. But we are going to send it back down the inside of the Mexican driver into the final chicane, and once again the job is good for us. Not so good for Perez, because he is now under pressure from Lewis Hamilton, who's chasing him down. But we also got the DRS from Perez, so potentially we were able to catch up to the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz, which we have. And Pierre Gasly, as you might have just heard Mark telling us over the radio, is actually ahead of us. He's, I believe, is he just there? He's very close in this sort of pack that's just ahead of us here, these 5 or so cars. I think he's second in the train right now, but he might actually be a little bit further up than that. I think he might be just leaving the S's now. But as you can see, we are learning the lines, and there's a caution here. I think there's a car going to be going slowly any second now, as that causes this whole group to back up. I make contact with Sainz, jump down the inside of Piastri, and there's Zhou, and it's Hauger that is having issues. Zhou and I can't remember who else I passed. Piastri and Sainz all got held up behind Hauger's retiring car, which gave us the jump to make up a few places actually prior to the safety car coming out, which we're going to capitalize on for sure. I was tempted to go softs, but I thought mediums is potentially the way to go. We will end up at the back, but I'm banking on the fact that everyone's been on their tyres for 7 laps at this point, comfortably. More than that, 10 laps. We can serve our 10-second penalty under the safety car. I'm not sure if that's actually meant to happen, but we do. And we can also get some fresh mediums to take us to the end of the race. And because all of the grid is going to be backed up fully, we're going to have the freshest tyres of anybody, barring Albon, who came in at the same time as us, and the hard runners, but they've been on their tyres for 10 laps, probably 12 laps by the time the safety car finishes, which I think gives us a significant advantage. You know, my line and, well, skill issue has been giving us a severe disadvantage, along with the high wings. But we're sort of sorting out the skill issue in terms that we're learning the lines. We are fully understanding where and when to place our car. We can make overtakes. We just have to be wise with our battery and the times in which we overtake. So we're going to give Albon a bit of a sniff while we get ready to race after this safety car peels into the pit lanes. We've gone already, which kind of caught me off guard midway through the chicane. But again, there's Albon and myself at the back of the grid with the freshest tyres of anyone. You can just see how much they gain in the straight, actually. That was insane. We were right on the back of Albon coming out the chicane, and then by the end of the straight, he was half a second up the road, easily. But look at the speed we have through these corners now. Can we sneak past the Williams driver there, potentially just stick our wing in? He does try and turn in, but we hold our ground, and luckily our wheels stay attached. This time there seems to be some sort of other issue. I don't know if that was a momentary yellow flag, but look at the difference in grip we have compared to Pourchaire, who hasn't boxed. So we just send it down the inside, nice and easy, nothing too stressful. Still testing out the limit of grip on these mediums, but also trying not to leave anything on the table too much, as now we set our sights on Logan Sargent, a previous teammate. Can we show him the way? Is it like the Mandalorian? Can we show him the way? Maybe this is the way. Just a nice exit from the final corner. No DRS right now, which is good for us because we have the slipstream and a bit of ERS to go around the outside of turn 1. Side by side with Sargent, there was a bit of contact as well. Really made that hard to slow down and turn in and keep it all stable, but we've done the job. As scrappy as it might have been, especially for all the incidents we've had in this race, not just ourselves, but everybody on the circuit. And Joe and Russell, the next 2 cars, they both still have the 10-second penalty. I'm thinking that Joe is probably going to be easy pickings. As you can just see, I have to almost lock my tyres to avoid him, well, avoid being in his car as well. So we had to send it there, as we send it now on not 1 but 2 Mercedes drivers in 1 corner. Thank you very much for leaving the door open, Russell and Hamilton. Now we're almost up to the points paying positions here. Lap 17 of 19. I'm pretty sure the rest of this race is uncut, so you know that this is going to be a little bit spicy. 30% battery, not ideal for the end of the race. We have the majority of the cars ahead of us are slower cars than our car. And as you can see, they hold up the faster cars, as I've just illustrated perfectly with a nice dive down the inside of Sergio Perez in the Red Bull. So it was basically, it's like Piastri and Sainz are being held up by a kick Sauber that's out ahead. So they can't do anything, because again, everyone's on old tyres. As now we're looking to go around the outside of Sainz. Is there space? Not quite. But we do have the grip. We absolutely have the grip. And we know I'm searching for a way to get around this Ferrari. Is it here? Not quite. We tried to do the same thing that we did on Alex Albon all those laps ago, and it just didn't quite pull off. But can we do something into, I believe this is the second deck. Yes, as there was almost contact, almost wheel banging, but we kept it clean, which is what we like to see. Do I send it down the inside of Piastri? Yeah, I do. I almost lock up and hit the rear of Nico Hülkenberg, which is not ideal, but we survive. No wing damage, and a dream. P9. Pierre Gasly's just up ahead as well, which is nice for us as a team. Some good points, especially when all the other teams have a driver that is pretty much outside the points. It's McLaren? No, there was a McLaren out. That must have been Norris, right? So there's Piastri in P10, 1 point for McLaren. Sainz and Leclerc's out. Sainz is in P11. Both Mercedes are behind us as we make contact again with Nico Hülkenberg. As the Gasly, our teammate, and Kevin Magnussen were side by side in the chicane. I just didn't see them being that slow. But final lap of the race is we've got to line up a move on Kevin Magnussen and potentially even our teammate. Let's see how we feel about our teammate today. I do feel he's performed nicely. He's done well. And you can just see the amount of grip we have over our teammate in exactly the same car. Not the same setup, obviously, but the amount of grip that we have in this first sector. It's not quite Qatar Sector 3, where it's just everything's flat out, but it's you know, significant advantage. It's the tyres and the setup working together, but Gasly has done phenomenally today, and I don't want to take that away from him. I could overtake him, probably a bit too easily, but I also don't want to compromise his line at any point so that he drops behind Magnussen. Because Magnussen's still relatively close, right? Like, if we have a situation where I go down the inside and Gasly's a little bit offline and he doesn't get a good run, and then Magnussen sweeps through, like, we lose points as a team. But also, I guess for Gasly, like, it's nice for him to be doing well here. So we're just not even burning battery at this point. Magnussen's now over a second behind, so we can, you know, have a little bit of a play, try and get some team formation going, But ultimately, we'll leave Gasly for his P6, and we take home P7.
Lando Norris, take a bow. At last, a winner in Formula One.
I was wrong. There wasn't another McLaren out.
Well, it all came good in the end for them, but it wasn't an easy start. Not the most straightforward of days, but I think it shows great strength in an athlete as a driver when you can overcome a day like this and walk away still with a victory.
As the winners make their way up to the podium, one can only imagine the celebrations that will take place at McLaren tonight. Congratulations to everyone on the team, securing the win and proving that they're a force to be reckoned with out on the track.
Yeah, it was a Ferrari and an Aston Martin. What am I thinking? Why did I think it was McLaren? I think there was a McLaren involved with the Ferrari that went out. So that must have been Norris, potentially. That might have also been Piastri, though, because Norris was up at the front. But anyway, great race. Yeah, some good points for us relative to our team rivalries, we'll say.
Well, that was certainly an exciting weekend of Formula One. Be sure to join us for more exciting Formula One action very soon.
Indeed, and if you do want to see more, hit that subscribe button. If you don't, I'm not talking to you right now because you've already clicked off the video and it doesn't matter. But Lando Norris takes the top spot, followed by Alonso, Verstappen, Tsunoda, Ocon, teammate Gasly, us, Kevin Magnussen, Hülkenberg, Sainz, Perez, Sargent, Albon, Pourchaire, Piastri, Hamilton, Russell, Zhou Guanyu, Dennis Hauger, Charles Leclerc, Lance Stroll, and Daniel Ricciardo. 4 cars DNF'd, I think it was in the end, which is crazy. Title fight is a bit three-way at the moment, between 3 different teams as well, which is great to see. We potentially have our hands on the 3rd place trophy, if there is one, and Gasly's somewhere in the mid-pack. But for the constructors, Red Bull running away a little bit, not really. Bit of a fight between 1st and 2nd, and then we're again in the hunt for the bronze medal. The highlights are here for you now. What a race. It's going to look like the highlights restart, but they don't. It's just because of the red flag. So you can see here, just on the screen, cars smoke, cars in the wall, boom, red flag. Right? Nice and simple. And then it's going to restart and be like, hey. At this point, I thought the game was bugging out when I was recording the highlights, because I thought, oh, it's just restarting. But no, it's not. And we can potentially see the other incident too. Potentially not. It's probably going to be at the bottom of the screen and already happened before we get there. There it is. And obviously us running wide. So it was an incredible race. So chaotic. And I've already recorded next week's episode. And I can tell you that's almost as chaotic as this. So I hope it lives up to the expectation I've now placed on that video. If you guys did enjoy this one, please feel free to leave a like. If you didn't like it, again, I'm not talking to you right now because you're not here. Unless you just want to stick around to see what I would say at the end, in which case, hello. Leave a comment, I guess, telling me what I could do better. If you just say driving, I agree. But yeah, if you guys want a slightly different format, or you think something else might be better for me to include, like more replays, less replays, more off-board shots, that kind of thing. I used to do it more, but I feel like it's potentially a bit more immersive being in the car rather than these kind of shots that you can see at the end anyway. But that's it. I hope you guys really enjoyed. Look at that train. But as always, we'll be back next week, hopefully on time this week, for round 4 of the My Team career mode. I'll catch you guys then.